Well, hey everybody, this is Nick and Brian here with the Cabinet Joint. Brian, we've received a lot of questions from customers over the years, really, regarding the shipment process. And so what I've done here is I've compiled a list of questions that we're receiving, whether by phone through the 888 number or through email or any other means possible. And so I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. Maybe you can give us a little bit of background to help us sort through a receipt.
Love to.
So first question for you is, give us a little bit of an idea of the state of really the shipping in general. So what does that look like within the country that you're seeing, we're seeing here with the Cabinet Joint?
Yeah, no, I think we're talking right now in January of 2022, and it's no surprise that there's supply and demand issues and shipping issues and freight sitting off the coast of California. The carriers are no different. So they've changed in the course of the last year or two. They've gotten a little more stringent with what they want documented when a shipment arrives and what the customer needs to document and send back to us in order for us to get them a replacement. So yes, it's a moving target right now, I would say. And the shippers, where it used to be just mark the bill of lading real quick and send it in, they've become a little more like dot the I's and cross the T's. So we just want to make sure our customers are understanding how this shipping landscape has changed. So.
Yeah, definitely. So how can we expect the deliveries to be scheduled? How can our customers feel?
Yeah, it's called a residential delivery. So we set it up with Conestoga to have you called before the delivery is made. So the shipper, generally it's FedEx, but it could be New Penn or somebody else. The delivery is going to hit their local terminal, and their distribution person is going to call you at the phone number you provided your cabinet coach and say, hey, when can we deliver this? It's important to know that you need to take the delivery within 3 to 5 working days, closer to the 3. Depends on the shipper, but they will start to charge you storage fees if you don't take the delivery expeditiously. So they're going to call you to schedule that date. You may ask your cabinet coach 3 weeks earlier, what's my delivery date? They can't tell you because that delivery date is determined by you and the deliverer, the shipper, not us. So just bear that in mind. So they're going to give you a call. You want to make sure you have a cell phone handy on the day of delivery, so when they call you, you can arrange to have the driver call you on the way, that kind of thing. Make sure you're able to be reached. If you get any phone calls, messages, whatever from FedEx or a shipper, return those calls. We get a lot of calls back from shippers saying we can't reach the customer, and we all get hit with spam, we know it, but a lot of customers are getting calls from FedEx or UPS or whoever, and they're not realizing, oh, that's my delivery from Conestoga or Cabinet Joint, I need to take that call. So make sure you keep a cell phone handy.
So once that's scheduled, Brian, do I need to physically be present there for that receipt?
Yes, yes. Always good to have not just you, but somebody else who's able-bodied, because there will be some loose packages that have to come off the truck by hand. No box weighs more than about 70 pounds total. You might have a long box of 4 or 5 pieces of molding, a front frame or a cabinet panel that weighs a few pounds. Nothing will break your back, but if you're someone who's, you struggle to get up the stairs, that kind of thing, we all have that. I got a bad knee, in fact. We just want to make sure you have somebody there that can horse these cabinet panels off, because the driver's responsibility is only to get it to you to the ground. They don't have any responsibility to carry these items to your garage. So they're going to hand you loose items off the back of the truck. He's 5 feet in the air. They're going to hand you items off the truck, and you do need to have somebody present.
So when that truck arrives and let's just say, for example, the pallets are stacked all over each other and it looks a little off, what would you do in that situation?
You want to, obviously we'll talk about this in a minute, I think, when I get more into it, but you're going to want to photo document things. But for sure, you're going to want to look at the shape the packages are in the truck and take a picture before the driver even brings things to the tailgate. And I want to stress, this is going to be a liftgate delivery. For most jobs of size, it's going to automatically be a liftgate delivery. What that means is they bring the pallet to the back, they pneumatically lower it to the ground on a basically a huge elevator, and then they'll dump it on your driveway. That's where it ends. They'll just wheel it off that and dump it on your driveway. So before that even happens, you want to make sure you have pictures of the load in the truck. How many boxes, how many pallets are there in there? And typically what you're going to see is a bunch of pallets that are shrink wrapped and some loose items on top. So I think that answers your question, but you really want to make sure you're getting a feel for what's on the truck before it even comes off.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about what happens when the truck arrives. So the truck's made it there, right? It looks in most cases, right? It looks like in good order. We've already arranged the delivery. I've got maybe a friend or a family member or somebody else to help me if needed. But now the truck's here, looks good. We've got the liftgate, gets it to the ground. What really should I be expecting at that point to move forward?
First thing I would do is ask the driver for the bill of lading, also called the BOL. The bill of lading is going to specify two critical things: how many pallets and how many loose packages. So let's say you have a typical kitchen and you're going to have large pallets of your cabinet, knockdown boxes, your doors and drawer fronts, and maybe thrown on top you're going to have a box of molding or a front frame just as a loose box. Every loose item should have its own packing slip in the little clear envelope stuck to it. And the pallets will be self-explanatory. They're pallets. You want to get the bill of lading and make sure that if it says 5 pallets, 3 loose, I'm seeing 5 pallets and 3 loose before we unload the truck. Convey that to the driver that I want to make sure my piece and pallet counts are correct. That's the first and foremost thing. Sometimes customers will mistake a loose piece for a piece that might have slid out of the pallet, because you have shrink wrapping around the pallet and maybe the box of hardware slid out and fell on the ground. That doesn't automatically make it a loose piece. It's only a loose piece if it's got the plastic envelope with a packing slip stuck inside, and typically the sales order will end in -000. That's automatically going to denote it's a loose piece, and you want to make sure you have those counted.
Okay. So now I made sure all my pallets are present, they're being delivered, they seem to be intact, loose pieces are accounted for. Do I need to physically inspect everything at that point?
No, and that's a good point, Nick, or a good question, I should say. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking if I see a damaged box, I have to rip the pallet down, open that box, inspect every piece in that box. You won't do that, you don't want to do that, and I don't think FedEx or the shipper will let you do that. What you want to look for is damage to physical boxes, and if you see any damage whatsoever, you're just going to want to write the word damage on the bill of lading. The driver will let you do this, but you just write damage on the bill of lading, and he and you will sign it, or the driver and you will both sign it. But you don't want to open up every single box. You've noted damage. That means when you leave, driver, and you're heading on down the road to your next delivery, I'm going to get into the boxes, and I have, we'll say 12 days, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but we'll have 12 days to physically open up every box and look for hidden damage. Okay?
Are there any particular types of products that we offer that we do want to see that box in particular opened? So I know that some pallets come loose or shrink wrapped, so forth, but we also have some wooden pallets that come out. Maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind that you're going to want to open at the point of delivery is a range hood. If you ordered a wood range hoods, typically from our vendor, Stanisi, Conestoga boxes those up in plywood. They're packaged very burly, but we want to have you actually dismantle that package and look inside and make sure things aren't damaged. And that's a request the shippers have made of Conestoga, is to open those boxes up. That's the one that stands out. Everything else, if you see something, a corner jammed, looks like a forklift ran into the pallet, something looks crushed, just write the word damaged. If you're missing a pallet, like physically, I can see I'm missing 1 of 5 pallets, or I'm missing 2 loose pieces, just the word missing. That's all you have to write in the bill of lading is missing.
Well, maybe we can take a moment to explain what are the things that I'm going to obviously have to sign for the bill of lading, but I've got some damaged pieces maybe. We write damage. What else do I need to worry about documenting during that process? Well,
this is where we live in a day and an age where we all walk around with a camera. And I would say you cannot take too many pictures. I would take a picture of the signed bill of lading. Doesn't happen often. We've had drivers tell customers, hey, do you want this drop down, this 1 pallet? You ordered 1 small cabinet. You want to drop down the lift gate? And the driver or the homeowner says, yeah, I'll take it in the lift gate. They say check here, or they don't say check here, and they drop it down, and they bill you. They'll bill the customer for the liftgate delivery we didn't ask for. The customer gets the bill and says, I didn't want liftgate, he just asked me. And the driver will check it on the customer's behalf. They'll check the box that says customer requested liftgate. Take a picture of the bill of lading and make sure you know and you're comfortable with whatever's been marked on there, you asked to be marked on there. So bill of lading for sure. You want to take a picture of the items on the truck before they're removed. Take a picture of every pallet, the condition of every pallet. You want to take a picture of every packing slip to make sure if there's 5 pallets and they're all individually marked, and you call us and say, hey, I'm missing a pallet, we'll know you got pallet 1, 3, 4, and 5. We're missing pallet 2. And then, of course, anything you see that's damaged, a damaged corner box, a crushed end, a pallet that was speared, anything, take a picture of those items. You don't have to rip the box open, just take a picture of the damaged package.
Sure. Is there anything else that we would want to document on there other than missing or damaged? That's probably it, correct?
I think that covers it. Like I said, you can't over document if you're concerned. Mark it, but the way you mark the bill of lading, I want to stress, is very, very important, because we've had FedEx or the carriers deny a claim because the customer marked one document. There can be multiple pages of the BOL or multiple packing slips. They'll only mark one and not every copy, and the driver will say, hey, you didn't mark this one. So you've got to be diligent in making marks and taking pictures of everything. Okay, it's very critical that you overuse your camera. We can never get too many pictures if you have a problem. You may never need to send us any, but at least you have them if you need them.
So just so we're all clear, so if there is some damage noted, we're going to mark damaged. We're going to sign the bill of lading. We're going to take a picture of that for our record, just in case there's any issues. What about everything's great, which is probably what the majority of the shipments come intact, everything's in order, we have the right pallets, we have the right loose material, everything's in order, simply signing the bill of lading and sending the driver on their way. And then over the course of the next, how many days did you say? 12. 12 days we can inspect whether there's any internal damage.
And let's talk about that real quickly. You have 12 business days from it. That means no Saturday, Sunday, 12 business days from the time the delivery is received to make a claim on something missing or damaged. So you've got to identify. That's when you start getting into your packages, checking your door corners. You could put things back in the wrapper and stick it in the corner, but you at least want to cast eyes on it and get that replacement claim in. You have 12 business days. Now, if you have a split shipment, let's say you had a very large delivery and they had to split it into 2 different trucks and the 2 trucks came 5 days apart. You have 12 days from the second truck to be able to make that claim, not from the first truck, from the second truck. They consider the delivery is not complete until the second truck arrives. That's when the 12-day clock ticks. Now, I want to stress, Conestoga is doing the customer a favor here, because if any of you have ever bought from somebody who shipped your product via freight carrier, you're normally dealing on the replacement or missing claim with the carrier. You have to file a insurance claim and they ask you what it was worth and you fight with them to get money back, and then you buy your replacement from the vendor. Conestoga, based on their buying power, how much sheer magnitude of deliveries they do with people like FedEx and New Penn and so forth, have negotiated terms with these carriers to say, hey, look, we want to do no questions asked for replacements for the customer. We'll file for the credit, and you, FedEx, credit us, Conestoga. Our customer's out of the mix. They got their replacement. And FedEx and the carriers all said, we'll do that because of your buying power, but you have a time frame that you got to get us that inspected claim on. You can't just have 4 months to, I finally got around to building my kitchen, now I find something's missing or damaged. You've got 12 days, and I got to stress, you've got 12 days. If you decide to wait 3 weeks to report a missing or damage claim, we cannot help you with that replacement all the time. We'll fight for it. We can't promise we can get a free replacement. You may have to go back to the carrier and fight for some insurance claim, but we're going to have to charge you for that replacement. So I don't want to be all downer on that. I'm just trying to stress the point that Conestoga is doing us a favor by running that replacement for you without you having to deal with the carrier and all that mess. But you got to stick within the 12-day window.
So I know that there's some time frames on the customer's end. We have 12 days to report. What about on the carrier, the transporter? So we identify maybe that I'm missing a pallet. I got 4 out of 5. The other one's not here. Contact Cabinet Coach immediately, as I ought to. How long before I should expect the carrier to let me know, hey, we found this, we didn't, we're going to take action?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is there a requirement there for them?
Yeah, 7 days. And I wish I could say this hasn't gotten, with just how much sheer product is being shipped around this country right now, we're seeing all the volume go up. Rising tide floats all boats. We're seeing more of this, hey, we're missing a package or a pallet. FedEx or whoever the carrier is gives themselves 7 days to track that pallet down wherever it is in the system in the country. If they can't track it down, 7 days out, Conestoga will start building you a new product, whatever it is. You've got to tell us what pallet's missing. This is where taking pictures of the missing pallet or of the pallet slips, we can tell you, oh, you don't have a picture of pallet 2, that's the one that's missing. We know what the contents of pallet 2 were, we'll build all that again. That starts at 7 days. Prior to that, we have to give FedEx time to find this in the system. So
that's great. So Brian, is there any last things based on your experience that you want to make sure that we communicate, other than the, we've got the 12 days, that's a big one, marking bill of lading's damage if there is any. We've got photos as necessary. Anything else?
I want to go back to the damaged items. If you do find damaged, it really helps us clear the way for a smooth replacement if you can over-communicate. So take pictures of the damaged package, take pictures of the damaged item from different angles, take a picture of the package before you even take the item out. Whatever you can get us to defend. This was damaged when it arrived. It just helps us smooth the way without having to have a fight with FedEx over who gets credit. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but it's just good to be aware and take those pictures as much as you can. Yep.
Wonderful. Well, that's a list of my frequently asked questions here for you, Brian. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
and,
my pleasure.
And being so clear on what you and we are seeing.
What we are seeing, yeah.
Thank you, everybody. If you got any questions, feel free, call us. The number?
888-211-6482. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.